So yeah, let's take a look at that under the microscope. So, the Lautlos escapement under the microscope. Let's give you a second to admire it, to take a look at it. So, on the left you can see the anchor wheel. Right in front of it you can see the anchor. Typical for this escapement is that it only has one teeth, like one of those pins. And then on the right side you can see the balance with the hairspring happily going back and forth. So before I am going to go further with my explanation about this escapement, I'm first going to explain in general what an escapement actually is. The name kinda says it itself. An escapement is a way of letting the power escape in a controlled manner. We kinda want to let the power escape with a timing constant, because we want to have the alarm clock running at the correct time. In this case, it is a hairspring. It could be a pendulum too, if this would be a pendulum clock, but it's the same principle basically. So we have our constant, the hairspring mounted on the balance, but then we still need something to make it go back and forth, like the oscillating motion, and that's what the anchor and anchor wheel are for in this case. So we have our balance with the hairspring on it, that's the time constant. We have our anchor and anchor wheel that is providing the conversion of a turning motion into a back and forth motion. But how does it really work? So you have the balance going back and forth, but it can't go back and forth indefinitely, so it needs power. So every time the escapement progresses one tooth, you hear the tick-tack, and those are impulses that are given to the balance. But in case of the Lautlos escapement, we have our anchor wheel that's made up of two parts. So normally you would have your anchor with two pins on it, and you would have the anchor wheel which only has one row. But in this case we have two of them. So we have an inner row, which is the brass part, and we have an outer row, which is the like general iron colored. And basically the iron colored is spring loaded. So you can see the pin is going in between those two rows, and after the impulse the metal one needs to reset itself. So it's basically spring loaded to dampen the sound, but it still has the effect of the impulse. And we're going to change angle, and then I'm going to show you the resetting motion better before I take it apart. So I'm going to pause it now, because here we can see the notch, and that notch is in between two like little bars that keeps it from going too far, and you can see there are two kind of like a cut up hairspring to dampen it. So now that you know what to look for, let's give it a spin again, and so you can see it in motion. See it go back and forth now. So yeah, now it's time to disassemble. So I disassembled the alarm clock and I put the anchor and the anchor wheel under the microscope, and I also went to my junk bin and took an anchor wheel and an anchor from a standard alarm clock so you can compare. So you can see the anchor here as the 2 pins, which this one is extremely worn out, but that's not what this video is about. And then here you can see the normal, which is just 1 ring with the teeth on, while here the teeth are exactly the same shape, but here you have those 2 rings, and then here you have on the Lautlos you have the 1 pin. Here you have 2 extra springs here, which I don't really can tell what they are for. Maybe on the big amplitudes those kick into effect, but I've never seen this one do a lot of amplitude, so I don't know. Maybe one day when new that comes into action. But yeah, now that you see the comparison, let's take this one apart, because there's a lot of interesting things to see. So now it's time to pull those 2 apart. So it's just this part is loose on here, and you can just pull it off, and it reveals the secondary hairspring. You can also see here at this in one of the spokes, normally they would look like this, but here you can see that notch where this pin actually can go back and forth in it, which is what you could see earlier. So the reset happens in between here. You can see those 2 little dampening springs here and there. And so basically when you mount this back on, you put the notch in here, and then you turn it until here, and then you push it through, and that locks it in place, and it gives that the certain pre-tension. So let's show that now. Let's try to do it in a way that you can see it. So now I'm in it. So now I need to move to the notch. And it's in. And now you can see it springs back because of the tension we put on. Also, you can see the mark on there. That was basically while we were troubleshooting, we suspected that one of the teeth was damaged. So we put a mark on that because it would always stop after a certain time, but we put a mark on there so we could test if it would be always on the same spot, and then we could look if one of the teeth was damaged. But eventually it happened to be not that, but yeah, that was a mark during troubleshooting. So yeah, now you've seen this, it's up to the sound tests I want to do. So I'm going to put the 2 side by side and see if it really works. So for the sound, I picked out another Junghans alarm clock, like just a normal standard Junghans alarm clock as a reference. Both the sounds are recorded at the same gain settings with the mic at the same distance, which is 15 centimeters. And yeah, we're first going to listen to the normal Junghans alarm clock as a reference. Conclusion. Well, I think that the Lautlos alarm clock lives up to its name. It is, in comparison to the normal Junghans one, very silent. So yeah, they succeeded in their endeavor to make an alarm clock more silent, and it's an interesting concept, and I was glad to be able to show it in this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one.